we have trolled every single forum and every single group to try and figure out what documents we need. We finally found somebody that had been transporting pets, I guess, for other people and perhaps for themselves quite a bit. And so we figured out that the requirements are that we need a health certificate certifying that they're free of parasites, open wounds, communicable diseases, and that they have been treated for worms, fleas, ticks, parasites in general. That needs to be signed by the veterinarian. Then you need a separate document that's a rabies certificate to certify that they've been vaccinated with rabies. These all need to be within 15 or 10 days. We've heard two different things now. Well, online it was 10 days from gov.mx.
Yeah, so better count on 10 days.
Yeah,
just in case.
Better count on 10 days. We went to Sanasica, which I'll tell you about in a second, and they just told us it was within 15 days, but to be on the safe side, I would say do it within 10 days. So anyways, in addition to that, you're going to want to ask the veterinarian to make a copy of their veterinary license, attach that, and then if you have the... So in our case, we had a 3-year rabies vaccine, and so instead of giving them a new vaccine, they issued the certificate and then attached the copies of the documents that we had.
Yeah, make sure it's in Spanish. I mean, it's probably going to be in Spanish if you do it in Mexico, but just in case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we do know if you're bringing them from the U.S., there's a specific health form that you have to fill out. It's available online from a number of different sites. If you look around, definitely from the Guatemalan consulate site or Department of Agriculture, you can download it. It's a new form for 2021, and so you definitely want to use that one. It's in both Spanish and English. But anyways, the second thing that we were told that we need is a zoo sanitary certificate. We were told that we need to go to this organization, which is part of the Department of Agriculture, called Sanasica.
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 Right.
So we are in Merida right now. They have a Sanasica office. We went to the Sanasica office, and they said that they no longer issue zoo sanitary certificates.
They used to do that, but not anymore.
They used to, and they don't anymore. So the only other one close by is at the airport. And so now we're going to head to the airport to see if we can get a hold of this zoo sanitary certificate.
I think we found it.
I think so, yeah. It's just past the entrance to the terminal. So if you're going to drive to the drop-off pickup area, and it's called, yeah, Autoridades Agricultura, and it does say Sanasica right on it. So
Let's go.
Right place. Vámonos. All right, we're getting there. This form though is just like a mess if you try and translate it, because they design it for like livestock, and so there's like sections that don't make sense. There's like the RFC number, which would be like your local resident number, some other like your CURP number as a Mexican national. So there's just all sorts of stuff that we're leaving blank. We're just gonna go in there and be like, is this good enough to give us a certificate? So now we're finally to the point where we can start filling out the pet information, which at least we know that.
And that will be the last part.
Yeah.
And I hope they still open.
That's what you think. Ta-da!
We got it.
There it is.
We got it.
Show them closer what it looks like. It's very official.
It's very official, and that was very painful.
Yeah. So that is officially the zoo sanitary certificate to bring the dogs into Guatemala. The painful part about it was you have to go and you have to fill out a form, and you have to fill it out in Spanish. And so first recommendation is you can actually download the form online and print it and then fill it out at home before you go, instead of taking it, bringing it back to your car and trying to do translation on your phone. After an hour, we got through it. We gave it to him. It worked. He didn't have any problems with it.
We gave him a form and
The form
original
and
documents.
the original documents that we got from the veterinarian, which includes the health certificate for the dog and the signed rabies certificate for the dog and a copy of the veterinary license, which we have attached to the other copies, which we will explain why they're attached to the other copies. Is because, first of all, he wanted to keep the originals of the certificates.
Right.
So both the certificate of health that covers the DHLPP, which is standard vaccination shots, and the proof that they have been given internal parasite treatment, which we use Trifexis and Bravecto for ticks, which is on here. And then on top of him wanting to keep the originals, he lost one of the rabies certificates, like literally lost it. It's like a 10 by 10 room. It's like almost impossible to lose a document within a 10 by 10 room. And we are sure that we brought it because it was stapled. Everything was stapled together.
Right. And so we couldn't even get a copy back.
We couldn't even get our copy back.
He couldn't find original. So what we did, thank God, our vet says, yeah, sure, we can give you another original paper for the dogs.
Yeah.
But to make sure it's not gonna happen with you, when you visit a vet, ask for 2 papers.
2 original
each,
copies. Yeah. So then
document.
Sanasica at the whatever office you're going to. We went the one in Merida at the airport, which is the one you have to go to, not the Sanasica office listed on Google. So then you'll have your original copies, and you'll be able to provide them with original copies. Bring your passport. They'll need your passport when you go to the Sanasica office. But at the end of the day, we have what we need for the dogs.
We have it all.
We have it all. Zoo sanitary certificate, health certificates, and rabies certificates signed and approved. So now, for us,
we just need a COVID test.
well, we need the original title for the vehicle.
Yeah.
We need our passports.
Obviously.
Yep. And during this time period, we need our COVID test. So I was actually confused because I thought that the antigen test was to test for antibodies.
Right. There are some different kinds of tests you can get. And particularly Guatemala accept antigen or PCR test.
Yeah, so the PCR test actually tests if you have COVID. The antigen test, which I thought tested for antibodies, which means you have already had it, tests for it's weird. It tests for the fatty tissue around the coronavirus itself to determine whether you have it within your system and may develop coronavirus. And so they're just slight variations. Both of them are going to tell you if you have or will be getting in a short time period coronavirus. So we did the nasal swab corona test. We did it here at Laboratorio San Lucia.
San Lucia in Comitan. It's 100 kilometers from the border, Mexico and Guatemala.
Yep, you need to have it within, at least right now, you need to have it within 72 hours. We're crossing on the 7th in the morning. Today is the 4th in the afternoon. and so we should be good. Gives us a little bit of buffer time. The only thing that we're terrified about is that over the last week I've had this head cold, and I can't seem to shake it. And so originally I was like, it's just a cold, no, I'm not gonna worry about it. And then like as it progressed, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, this cough, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, now we're on the clock, 30 minutes until we get our results, and that was about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So in about 15 minutes, we will know whether we have all the paperwork that we need to get into Guatemala.
Okay, it's a moment to get our results. I'll show you the image, the entrance of the place, of this laboratory, so you can see how to find it, because there are two entrances to that place, and this one is the wrong one. But this one is where you need to go to get COVID tests. All right, let's do it. We didn't say, but we paid 400 pesos, Mexican pesos, to get the test, so 800 for two.
All right, Masha's coming back right now. I'm super nervous. I told her to go get the results. We saw the guy literally close the waiting room doors and lock them, and I was like, oh no, they're shutting it down to sanitize that whole area because I have COVID. There she is. Okay, tell me your results. Your results.
Negativo.
Negativo.
Negativo!
Congratulations.
That's mine.
Uh-huh.
And that's yours.
Negativo!
Negativo!
Yeah!
I feel like that was a test for cancer, you know? Cancer free!
Yeah, I know, for real. It did. Like I was that nervous about it.
Oh god, I saw negativo, negativo. Yes! Oh my.
Amazing. Oh my god.
We're good to
So
go,
much
Guatemala.
stress just stripped away from my body. It melted away. It's going to the floor, sinking through, and it's
Oh.
completely gone now.
Bienvenido, Guatemala.
Yeah, bienvenido, Guatemala. Okay, now, copies. So the last thing is just make sure you bring 3 copies of everything that we talked about, because one of them is probably going to be held by the initial customs officer. One of them is going to be held by the version of Senasica there that we have to, or Department of Agriculture, where we turn in the zoo sanitary certificate and the certificates of health. And then when you actually go to customs, they're probably going to keep a copy as well, and obviously you want to keep a copy for yourself. Off to La Mesilla.
La Mesilla, ready to cross the border tomorrow.
Tomorrow in the morning. So we wanted to cross really early, but apparently the Benjercito office, so where we turn in the tip, temporary import permit, and our FMMs. You got an FMM, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where we have to get our exit stamps that we'll take to the Guatemalan border. They don't open till 8, so that is the earliest that we can start. But we found a place on iOverlander, our favorite overlanding app, and it's a secured parking lot right across the street from the Benjercito office. And if I'm butchering that, I apologize. But either way, we have triplicate copies of all of our documents. We have them in order of exiting, the dogs, documentation, and then border crossing. My understanding of the process is 1, you got to get stamped out, turn in your tip, get your refund. We do have a 10-year tip, but we're not really planning on coming back to Mexico anytime soon. We're going to keep going south. Then you go about 4 more kilometers. So this is actually before the border. You go 4 more kilometers into this area called No Man's Land, and that's really where like all the stalls and all of the vendors are. So you got to make your way through that mess of things to the border. Once you get to the border, then you're going to talk to one of the Guatemalan customs officials. For somebody that doesn't need a visa, technically there's no requirement to pay a fee. Although it sounds like the most common scam, I guess, by these border officials is to tell you that there is a
Fee.
I don't know, basically a $2.50 fee. Honestly, I'll probably, if somebody asks for it, I'll probably push back and say, no fee. Yo soy americano.
Yo soy Rusiano.
Yeah, and yo soy Rusiano. No obligatorio, which is not required. And if they insist, I might just pay to avoid the trouble because they can make some trouble for you. And so either way, you talk to that fine gentleman or señorita, and after that he's going to give you some documentation you have to take over to the bank, which is apparently a couple hundred meters from there. We have 2 dogs, as you know, and so we have to go to the agricultural office before we go to the bank because we're going to have to pick up another document which shows how much we have to pay for the dogs and make sure all the paperwork is correct for that. So once we have those 2 documents, then we'll go to the bank, we'll pay it, we make sure to get a receipt, we go back to the customs official, he stamps that he checked everything, and then you get fumigated. So the fumigation cost is 38 quetzals, quasis,
I'm not sure about the
quasimodos, whatever they're called.
Q.
Yeah, 38Q, 7Q per dollar is the exchange rate right now, and so there's the math rate there. And then you actually cross the border. So then you go to the customs official that will check all of your receipts and all of your documentation and give you your entry stamp, and then at that point you have entered Guatemala. That's my understanding based on the research.
Lots of stuff
Yeah.
on the way.
So you could change your money and you can get a SIM card there. We heard that Tigo and Claro are the 2 best. Tigo is the best for Guatemala just in terms of coverage, and they have some pretty good plans with 30 gigabytes of data. And so I think we're probably going to go for the Tigo if they have it there. And then we should be good to go with internet connected. We will have some money exchanged, and then we will be off to our final destination of Lake Atitlan. Yes, with 3 volcanoes and supposedly rain every single day, monsoon rain. But it's going to be a good time nonetheless. I guess we're just going to have to see how it works out tomorrow, if everything that I read is correct and up to date.
Well, we decided to change our mind and cross the border today. So here we go.
So to go and return your tip, you have to go to this Puerto Fronterizo Cuidad Guantemac. It doesn't say anything about Banjercito, but that's where you need to return your tip. If you want to cancel it, then you go next door to the Gobernacion, which is where you're getting your exit stamp.
So yeah, the whole process took us like 15 minutes, which is great, I think.
15 minutes for the stamp out, but another 15-20 for Banjercito to cancel the tip. God, in other videos, I mean, this place was just like packed to the brim. You could barely drive through. It looked like you were driving through India. I guess it gets a little bit more packed up here. We're getting pretty close, but not necessarily as bad. Although today is a Sunday, it's election day, it's in the middle of COVID, so there's not a lot of people doing transportation across the border.
Oh, Calvin Klein, babe.
Oh boy.
Think about it.
We're changing money right here, and we're going to do fumigation right here. Bienvenidos, Guatemala.
As I understand, fumigation only outside of the car, so perritos can stay inside, which is
Gracias, amigo.
very good.
New country. Well, we made it through, and I thought that it was about as painless, maybe a little less painless than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, just because, you know, you read so many different things about other people's like one-off bad experiences.
I don't know if we got lucky or that happened, but no bad experience. No.
We had like the nicest people helping us,
Yeah.
even though they did not speak any English and we speak very little Spanish. We still managed to get through the border in roughly 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, yeah,
which
about
is,
that.
which is pretty good. And so, like, the whole process that I outlined before is just about exactly what we had to go through, with 2 exceptions. So one, I couldn't pay for the importation of our dogs and the vehicle import permit at the same time, because the gal at the temporary import permit office wanted to see all the paperwork for the dogs, the receipts and everything. So we had to pay for the dogs first, and go through the initial immigration, fumigation, get the dog paperwork done, go get the COVID test done and the immigration paperwork done, and the final step was to go get the temporary import permit, which took the longest because she wanted all documentation, she wanted to make all the copies. But we got our 90 days for the C4. By the way, it is 90 days because of the agreement that they did back in something like, I don't know, 2017 or something like that, where it's a 90-day visa for Guatemala, Honduras,
El Salvador,
and Nicaragua. So you get a total of 90 days within those countries. You don't get a new 90 days when you get to the next country. So you have to be out of this, they call it the C4, within 90 days. So we'll be in Lake Atitlan for about a month, maybe explore for a couple weeks, see what we can find, and then pop into El Salvador, then into Honduras, then Nicaragua, to Costa Rica.
Yes, we have to be in Costa Rica in 3 months.
Have to be in Costa Rica in 3 months. And then the second one is that I thought after you got all the paperwork, like I was filing everything in the right order and making sure that I had, like, okay, here's the receipt for fumigation, and then here's the temporary import permit, here's the receipts for the dogs. I had everything in order to show the customs officer when we got to the border, and I didn't realize that the guy that I was chatting with and like joking with and spoke even a little bit of English was the customs officer. I came walking out after getting the temporary import permit, and he's like, eh? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. And they just gave me the permit. He told me where to put it. You put it on the front windshield, and then so I backed out and I started going, and I rolled down the window to talk to him, and he said, "Vámonos." And so, boom.
No one
We're in
even
Guatemala.
checked what we have inside the car.
No, nobody
no
looked
one.
at- nobody
Not in
looked
Mexico,
inside the
not in
car.
Guatemala.
No.
Can you
Nothing.
believe it? And we were trying to get rid of all fruits and veggies.
Yeah.
Yesterday, like, oh, we have to eat it all because, like, we have to put this here and blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. We were worried about like
Really?
half a bottle of rum. Like, is this over the milliliter limit of rum some that we can bring into the country.
Right.
Yeah. And we're like, okay,
Oh.
let's risk it. Let's risk it. We could have brought whatever we wanted here.
So
But anyways,
easy peasy.
not a bad experience from La Mesilla. Very informal, but still professional. They'll go through all the paperwork and get you what you need to get in the country and have all the documentation that you need if you get pulled over or if you have to deal with the authorities. So highly recommend, and off to Lake Atitlan.
Yay! Let's go.
Here we go.